Alright, so this is a basic portfolio website. You have the about, experience, projects, and contacts. This is also a toggle for dark and light mode. Right? And I've added a little animation to it to make it look a bit nicer. When you click about it, scroll downwards to the about section, experience, down to projects, and then lastly contacts. So this is the basic website I'm going to walk you through. Now this is the mobile view. While developing, you have to make sure you put into account for both desktop and mobile view. Ideally the same thing for the desktop, only tailored for the mobile. So instead of the buttons in the header, we use a hamburger menu. It will work just as fine. You know, yeah. So that is basically it for the mobile. Okay, so this is the index.html. We start with the basic tags. That is the doc type HTML and include blank as English. We open the head with basic stuff, basic template stuff, and give the title of the website. Fly 101 Match Navigation Lifestyle. We also import the style, the CSS file, which is here, right? And it's important that we put all of them the way we've structured the sites like that. We go to the body and move to the header swiftly, and then we start with the nav. So the nav bar, I think you will see in the beginning that we start with fly 101. Oh, sorry. Alright, so the nav bar has fly 101. And the other nav links. So look at the nav links: home, about, products, testimonials, and cards. Right. So this is basically how we decide to do it. For the mobile menu, it has a toggle menu. We'll go into that shortly. It's styled with the CSS, and the functionality is worked on by the JavaScript. Alright, so move to the sections. So we have, I think, 5 main sections, which is the hero, the about section, products, testimonials, okay, cards, and then footer. So that's about 6 roughly. I didn't really count, but I think yeah, it's 6. So the hero, we have a welcome to Fly 101 match, and we are using the H2 header. If we used H1, it would have been bigger than this, but we decided to go with H2. And then this is the paragraph tag. So grab some. Alright, so this is the CSS file. The CSS file is really long. I'm not sure we will go into details of everything here, but I think coupled with what you know on W3 schools or some other sites, you can have a fair idea of what we're doing over here. It's really long. It's about 900 lines long, so it's really long. I will not go through every single thing here. I'll give you sort of a snap summary and we'll move forward. So we'll start with the reset and base styles, right? Zero out margins and padding with the universal selector. Now you have to be tweaking things, especially as a beginner, just like myself. You have to be tweaking things as you move forward. Margin and padding is 0, box sizing as border box. With the body, we are selecting font family Sego UI. You should play around with some of these things. I've played around enough and I've seen that. I think I like this one. With the background, linear gradient. For some of these ones, you can easily go to, I think, Adobe to find out the exact texture you want. The color is is basic height, main height of 100 viewport height. I think view height, that's the right word, VH. And yeah, so this is basic for it. So the scroll behavior is supposed to be smooth. We'll move forward to the header navigation. So the background color is set to this. Look at this. Look at how it looks like. And for some of these things, you have to play around them to get the exact one you want. Padding 1 rem, 2 rem. So that's for top and right, because things move top, right, down, left. So for padding, if you see top, I think you understand it as well. So the top is 0, Z index is 1000. Yeah, I think you will simply get it as we move forward. And so we have a sticky nav with a blurred background and a cyan border glue. The logo uses a shimmering gradient animation. If you check the keyframe for sliding effect, look at the nav links. The nav links have a hover underline that slide in, and there's a cut badge. So for the navs, we'll shortly go into the navs, but as you can see, so this is the keyframes with the shimmer. It's the background position of 200% center. So the nav H1, you simply go through its nav with the link. So align items center. The nav with is 1400 px, and the margin 0 or 2. Position is relative instead of fixed, and it's very important that you make position relative here. So this is the nav link, and as you can see, the nav link should be white, but upon hover it should change to this color, as you can see. So these specifications are quite common, I'm sure you understand them. The position is made absolute, and also we want a small line sort of animation after hover. So this is how you implement it. We will move very swiftly. This is the mobile version. So as I said earlier on in the previous ones, we have to go for both mobile and for desktop. And so this is how the mobile works. You press F12 to get the mobile view, and for mobile, the nav links will be compressed into a hamburger menu. So when we click on the hamburger menu, as you can see, it's not the exact simulation because it's on desktop, but as you can see, it looks pretty decent. And you click this, and it should go away as well. So this is what is responsible for the mobile menu toggle span. All of this, the display block with all of these things, I think you clearly understand. The background hover as well. Upon selecting a particular item, it should become a change. I thought you saw that quite swiftly. So this is basic stuff over here. The hero sections styling is also here. The stats, so as you can see, we've put the stats to the middle. We want it centered. So the start label, about section, this is practically it. If you're interested in the code, I will gladly share it. So comments if you want it in the code. If you want a proper breakdown of it as well, I can do that. So this is for products. We have some sort of glass morphism cards with blur filters and a lift. As you can see, when you hover on it, the glow behind it. So So this is product hover. When you hover over each product, you can see the slide animation. So this is what is responsible for it. Yeah, the product image, the styling and all. The weight is controlled by this, the height, object fit, border radius determines the sharpness of the edges. So if we tweak this, if you want it to be really sharp, you can easily put it at 0. But because you want it to be quite curvy, on the sides, you tweak it enough and you leave it at 12 px. So you move swiftly into the buttons. Alright, and let me go through. Yeah, so this is practically what it is. You could pause, go back, and you will get what's really going on over here. It's not really difficult. You just have to keep playing around it. You must look at footer. Now the grid of links with social icons. Right. So Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and this is basically how the footer looks like. So I'll just keep scrolling for you to look at it, and go through it. If you want to copy, you can easily copy it. You practice, you learn by practicing. So while you copy stuff and learn stuff, everything moves smoothly, and hopefully you do much better than I have done here. Alright, so this is practically all I have. I'll show you how it looks like. I think it looks decent, and so that's it. How it looks in mobile as well. It looks pretty cool, Yeah, so that's it. Alright, so this is the JavaScript file that controls all the interactivity of the Fly 101 Metro websites. Things like loading products, handling the cart animations, and saving data. Especially because we are not using a full-fledged database here, so JavaScript to handle all of that. So at the beginning we have product data and cart setup. So basically we will have the products and have the cart setup here like this. With this one I created a simple array called products. Now each product has an ID, name, price, image, and description. This replaces using a raw database just like I pointed out earlier. And I also created an empty cart array where items will be added whenever the user clicks add to cart. So we can see here when you add to cart, they give you the short notification and it's added. It was 2, now it's 3 quantities because it's the same item I keep clicking on. Now the page setup on load. When the page finishes loading, everything inside the DOM contents loaded runs. So as you can see here, this is it. Now first I loop through all products and dynamically created the product cards on page. Each card fades in with a small animation using opacity and transform, and each button calls add to cart function. So as you can see here, this is practically what it does. You can go through the code in your own time and try to understand it a bit better. I also set up the mobile menu toggle. As you can see here, this is the mobile menu toggle. Now the important thing about it is when you're developing a website, you have to take into consideration both desktop and for mobile as well, because the the screen sizes are different, and so how we design and develop for desktop is slightly different. You have to tweak it a little bit to make sure the sizes are appropriate for mobile as well. So that is basically that. For the mobile menu toggle, we add a smooth scroll for navigation links, and then add load any saved cart data from local storage in case the user already added items earlier. And then finally, I update the cart count in the nav bar. So you can see here, when I click this, it used to be 3. Now it updates it to become 4. Now adding items to the cart. Let me see. So to add the add to cart function, or the add to cart ID function, checks whether the user already added the item before. If yes, increases the quantity. So look at it. This is the single line of code responsible for that. If existing item already exists, we add 1. If not, then we add it fresh as new. So that is where we see the product quantity 1. After that, I update the cart display and then animate the cart counter. We'll show that quite soon. Yes. So you see, when I keep adding, it moves from 5 to 6 at the top. You can go back a few seconds and watch, and then update the price and the quantity as well. So this is a very useful feature. Now, showing notification when the item is added. The function add to cart notification. This function is responsible for the brief notification that shows up when we add one. I think we've already seen it, so we will not go into it. But basically, this is the function responsible for it. Now, updating, removing, and calculating totals. So, updating the cart display. This function is responsible for it. The update cart function loops through all items in the cart, dynamically builds the cart items, and calculates the total price. As you can see here, it does that really well. The remove from cart function removes items and asks the user for confirmation. The cart count in the nav bar updates with a small bounce animation using transform scale. So you can see here, when we update it, I think I've already shown it, so we'll move very swiftly. And then check out. Alright, so this is removed from cart. This function is responsible for it. So handling checkout. If the cart, alright, so handle checkout function calculates the total, shows a quick thank you message, and then clears the cart. Since this is a simple demo checkout and we aren't going full-fledged and deploying it, so this is how we will go about it. So you see, it shows this message: thanks for your order, $250 total. It then clears everything. Now, saving and loading carts from storage. Finally, the save cart to storage function, as you can see here, and load carts from storage. Store the cart in the browser so that even if the page refreshes, the user doesn't lose items. So this is practically the JavaScript file responsible for the website. So we will go briefly into the CSS file since it's really long. Because of the animations, we will not go into full scale explanation of the CSS file, but I'll show you more of a basic way to go about the CSS file in the next one.